Good day, class. Today, we are going to talk about 4 topics on GDevelop that are essential to your projects. So, these topics are number 1, advanced platformer movements. Number 2, touchscreen controls. Number 3, export as APK installer for mobile gaming. And number 4, adding animation cutscene. Okay, so let's begin. But before we begin, always check your GDevelop app if it is already updated. So how are we going to do that? We are by simply going to the home section, then our home menu, then click about GDevelop. Then click this check again for new updates. If you are updated, it will say no update available. If you are not yet updated, then there will be a pop-up here and you can restart after the installation. Okay? After restarting and your GDevelop is already updated, now we can begin. For our first topic, let's make a new game by clicking this burger section or symbol rather. Then go to File, Create, New, Empty Project. Then from there, we can name your new project. Let's name it as Platformer Advance or whatever name you have come up for the name of your game or just a temporary name for this particular project. Okay, then see to it that your resolution preset is on mobile landscape and desktop, which is 1280 by 720 resolution. Then create project. Okay, now let us rename our untitled scene by clicking this button, then this 3 dots under the scenes, click rename. Then let's say this is level 1. It is already renamed as level 1. Also, the events of the level 1 will be renamed as this. Now, let's insert some objects, the player and the wall, by going to this object section, then clicking this add a new object. We can always draw our own assets, but for today, we are going to make use of the asset store. There are plenty of free assets here that we can use. We also have the option to click here to search for a certain asset we want to take. For example, let's say player. Okay, then let's take this dino. It has 6 animations. The idle one, crouch, hurt, kick, move, sneak. There. So those are the 6 animation. For this topic, we only need the idle, the run. So instead of move, we are going to rename that as run later on. And also the jump, which is, let's choose this kick as the jump. We are going to rename that also. Now, choose this by clicking add to the scene. There. When you close that window, the object Dino Docs will be added to our object section. Now let's have another new object and let's search for ground. And let's choose this one, grass. It is already a tiled sprite. Add to the scene. Okay, close that one. Then let's add this grass to the scene and our player. We can always toggle this show grid so that we will have a guide for our scene. Okay, let's make our player bigger by dragging the corners. Okay, then let's take this ground, then drag that. Since it is already tiled, therefore it will not be stretched, but the images will be added as we extend. Okay, Now, let's preview. As you can see, there's only an idle movement on our player, but we cannot control it yet. So let's close this first. Then before we give it controls, we should always check the collision mask of our objects by double clicking the object, then going to this button here, edit collision masks. There. After that, we click use a custom collision mask. Then we can move these corners so that we can edit the collisions of our object. We can always add some points by clicking, then dragging, like that one. But see to it that it is always convex. Okay, but we will only have 4 points for this character. Then let's close that one. Then hit apply. Now, let's give our object some behaviors. For the Dino Docs, we are going to make use of the Advanced Platformer extension. For we to install that, we are going to this Project Manager. Then, from the extensions, create or search for new extensions. Then search for Platformer. Let's search for the Advanced Platformer Movements. This one. Then click that, install in project. There, then we can close this one. We have a new extension here. Close this. To apply that, we need to double click the object of our player. Then, in the behavior of our player, click the add a behavior. From our previous topics, we used this platformer character, but today we are going to use the advanced one. Since we already installed the extension, so we will be able to see these additional behaviors. Now, we can add all of this, but let's check first this coyote time and air jump. It will give our character a new skill. And what is that? Air jump. Click that. Then we will have customization for the options of our jump. As you can see, we can have as many air jumps as we want. But for this example, let's give it just one only. Then hit apply. Let's check. Click preview. And there we have it. It fell. Why? Because our gun has no behavior yet. So let's close this first. Then let's give this grass a behavior of a platform. Okay. Then we can always check that. Apply. Let's preview again. There. So we have our character moving by when I click the arrow keys. Then when I click the spacebar, it jumps already. So no need to give additional codes. As you can see, since we added air jumps, if you double click the spacebar, it air jumps. It means it jumps in the air after jumping. Okay, that one. Okay, so that is air jump. If you add, let's edit this. Let's add the number of air jumps. Let's say 3 air jumps. Click apply, then preview. You can see that if we hit spacebar 3 times, it will air jump 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Even if you click the spacebar more than 3 times, it will always air jumps only 3 times. Okay, so that is air jump. Let's edit it again and let's give it only 1 air jump. Apply. Now, as we can see, even if the player is running, its animation is always in idle position. And if I jump, there's no animation jump. And if I press the left key, our player is not flipping to the right direction. So how are we going to fix that? Let's close this first. Then So let's fix first the names of our animations. Let's double click the player. Then let's go to this section, which is the properties. A while ago, we said that our kick will be renamed as jump. So we're going to use this kick animation as the jump animation. Then we're going to make use of our move animation as the run. So we can always rename that by highlighting this, then typing whatever we want. Then click the apply button. So we can now go to our events section. We can always right click here, event group. Then let's say we call this as animation, since we're going to change the animation of our character or our player. But you can always rename it whatever you want. Let's add a new event, add a condition. If DinoDocs is moving, click OK. Let's add the action of changing the animation by name. Don't choose this one, but this. Change the animation by name. Okay. Then let's choose the object DinoDoc. Then hit run. Hit OK. There. So it means whenever our player is moving, we are going to set the animation of our player to the run animation. Okay? Now, we can click this one, then copy it by hitting Ctrl C, then Ctrl V, paste. Then we can simply double click this one and choose is jumping, then hit OK. Then let's change this to jump. Okay, so it means when our player is jumping, we're going to set the animation of our player to the jump animation. Then let's add a new event. Then click for our player. If our player is not moving or is moving, but we are going to click this invert condition, it means that the condition will be the player is not moving. Okay? So you can always see that if we have a red rotating arrows beside the condition. So it means if our player is not moving, let's add another one. If our player is not jumping, okay, then let's have another one. If our player is on the floor, click OK. Then we add an action. Our player will change the animation by name again. Object is our DinoDocs, then to the idle one. Okay, so this means if our player is not moving and is not jumping and it is on the floor, that the animation will be always in idle mode or idle animation. Let's preview that. As you can see, if we click the move button to the right and stop, our animation will stop and will go back to the idle animation. How about the jump one? If we click the jump one, it's always in idle. Why? Because we didn't trigger it once. So we should always trigger this once. How? By adding trigger once while true. It means if our dino is moving and you only click it once, then the animation will change to run and it will go back to the idle one after it was triggered once. Okay, now let's trigger this also once, and let's trigger this also once. Okay, then let's see what happens. Okay, we hit jump, it jumps. It changed its animation into the jump one, and it stays idle if it is not moving. But if you click the move buttons, it will change the animation to the running animation. Okay, but there is still a problem. It is not flipping to the right direction. So how are we going to fix that? By closing this one, then let's add a new event. Then let's add a condition if a key is pressed, which is the left key, left, okay? If left key is pressed, then we are going to flip Dinodock. Flip the object horizontally. Okay. It is set in no. It means if the left key is pressed, then no changing of the animation to flip. So we must click this and check yes. It means if the left key is pressed, then the animation will flip. Okay? Then, of course, let's also have the key press of the right key. Okay? Then, add flip object horizontally and set it to no. It means it will always be on the side where it is already in default mode. For example, the default mode of our character is facing to the right. So, horizontal flip if you click the right key press because it is already in the default position. Okay, let's check that by clicking preview. Okay, if I move here, correct? How about this one? Correct. Okay, so it already faces the right direction when you move and you jump. Okay, there. Now, let's give it some obstacle. Let's add a wall here. Let's say, let's move it there. Then let's move this one here. Okay. Then let's see if it will stop when collided to a wall. Okay, stop. Now, since we still have the advanced platformer extension, we can always add another skill to our player. And that skill is, since we already have two walls here, let's give him a wall jump. So let's close this one. Let's double click this one. Then go to behaviors, add a behavior. Then click for wall jump. We can always play with the settings here, but for now, let us leave it as is and click apply. Now, let's see the added ability of our player. Let me close this one. Okay, then if I hit jump, you can see it wall jump. Okay? Okay? So that is wall jump. Now, let's close this one. Let's give a camera to our platformer so it will have a good effect in to our players. So, how do we do that? By adding another extension. Create or search for the extension. Smooth camera. This one. Then install in project. Close. As you can see, we have a new extension, smooth camera. Then how we are going to apply that? By going to our player. Then go to the behaviors. Add a behavior. Then go to the smooth camera platformer camera. I think this is better than this one, but you can always choose this one. But this option has more settings we can adjust. As you can see, we can always play again with these values. But let us leave it as the default, then click apply. Now, let's see what happened. Okay, as you can see, our camera is always fixated with our character. Even. Okay, let's try to wall jump. Okay. So that is how we use the smooth camera. Now let us review on adding sound effects to our game. So how are we going to do that? By going to the events. Then let's move this to the animation tab. And so that we can hide that and it will be grouped. Okay. Then let's have a new event group by right clicking. Then let's name this as SFX or sound effects. Add a new event. Add a condition. The condition will be if the Dinodox is jumping. Okay. If the Dinodox is jumping, then we are going to add an action which is play a sound. Play a sound. We can always choose an audio file that you have downloaded, or we can create our own sound by clicking this Create with JFXR. This is an inbuilt app for the GDevelop to create sound effects. So let's say we are going to give our character a jump sound effects. So we are just going to click this jump to choose what jump sounds you want. We can always play with the settings, but we also have the options to just randomly select by clicking jump. Okay, let's choose that one. Okay, then let's rename that as our jump SFX. Then save. There. So it is already chosen. Click OK. Let's move this one to this tab. When our player is jumping, the jump sound effects will play. So it will not loop since we set it as no. So let's check that by clicking preview. Okay. Then if you click, did you observe that? It sounds weird. Why? Because we didn't give it a trigger once condition. It means if we click the jump button, it plays continuously. Okay, so let's add a condition to trigger it once only. Okay, then let's preview again. Okay, so our character is now jumping with sound effects. That is how we give sound effects. We can always give sound effects to any movement by following our condition and action. For now, let's just give it a jumping sound effects. Now, for our final added ability for our character, let's give it a dash special ability. So how are we going to do that? Double click again our player, go to behaviors, then click the add a behavior. Then let's go down, click the horizontal dash. There. So we can always play with the settings, but for now, let's leave it as is. Let's hit apply. Now, how are we going to trigger the dash ability? So we must go to the events first, add a new event, add condition, then let's say if we key press, let's choose G as the key. Okay, then we're going to add to our player the dash ability. We can always search simulate dash key. Okay, so this means if we press the letter G on our keyboard, then our player will dash. So don't forget to add a condition to trigger it only once so that it will not continuously dash after the first G key is pressed. Okay, let's see what will happen. Let's move, then let's press G. Okay, it dashed. So that is the dash. ability. While jumping, you can always do the dash. Okay? So that is an added ability of our player. Okay? For the next topic, we are going to give touchscreen controls to our game. So how are we going to do that? Let's decide where we are going to place our controls. Usually, we place it below our game so that our players will not have a hard time pressing the buttons on our mobiles or tablets. So, we need buttons here. And usually, we use arrows. So, let's add a new object. You can always draw your own arrow, but for now, let's search on our asset store. So let's make use of this one. Right arrow, add to scene. Back. Left arrow, add to scene. Back. Then up for the jump. Add to scene. And let's not forget the dash. So let's choose this double chevron as the button for our dash ability. So add to scene. Okay, let's close that one. Now let's have a new layer for our buttons. Click add a layer, then let's name it as UI, or we can always name it as control, whatever. Then let's move where we are going to place that controls on our screen. Okay. Let's move up. Don't forget dash. It's a bit small. Let's resize that. Okay. Let's give it space so that the players can have a distinction to the two. Okay, then click shift to select them. Then let's change from the properties the layer as the control. Okay. So it means whatever happens here will not affect to the controls. Let's see that. Okay, as you can see, even if we move and the scenes changes, our control stays at the same place. But as you can see, if we move this, the two buttons will not be seen because it is not adjusted. So to adjust that, we're going to add the anchor behavior. So this one, the top arrow, double click that, go to behaviors, add behavior, then look for the anchor. Then from the left edge anchor, click window right. So it means it will anchor on the right window. Then click apply. So let's see, review. So if we we change the size of the window, the arrow will always anchor on the right. So let's do that also to the dash button. So double click, behaviors, add a behavior, anchor, window right, apply. Let's see, review. So it means even if our device like our cell phone is a bit small, it will adjust. It will not be cropped. Okay? Now, let's give it some controls. So how are we going to do that? Let's go to the events tab. Then let's make an event group. Let's call this as touchscreen. Okay? Then add a new event. Add a condition. For the condition, search for the cursor touch touch is on an object. The object is, let's say, first let's start with the jump button. hit OK. Then add action for the dino or our player to simulate the jump. You can always search jump. Okay, simulate jump key press. Then hit OK. So this means when the cursor or touch is on the top button or the jump button, it will simulate the jump key to our player. So let's test that. Preview. Imagine that our cursor is our hand. So when we place our hand to display so that to this button, it will jump. Okay. So we are also going to do that to this other button. Close that one. So let's move this to the touchscreen tab. Then we can always copy by right-clicking, then hit copy, paste, move it here. Then we can simply change this to the left arrow. Then change this jump key, click search, left, simulate left key press. Okay. So it means if our cursor or our finger is on the left button, it will simulate the pressing left for our player. So let's copy again. Then change this to the right. Then change this also to the right simulation. Simulate right key press. Okay. Okay, for the dash button, let's copy again, then paste. Change this to the double chevron. Then double click this one. Search for the simulate dash key. Okay. So now we have all the touchscreen controls. So let's check that. So if we click this, then this one. Okay, as you can see, the flip button is not applying. So how are we going to do that? Close this one. On our left key, we need to add an action for the flip. The object horizontally, the dino docks to yes. Okay. So it means when we press this one, it will flip. Let's also add an action to this right flip. Dino docks to no. Okay. Same as what we have done to the animation part, which is this one. Okay. Let's preview. Close that. Let's see. Okay. So it applied. The problem here is if you stay pressing the jump button, it will always jump. So what if you want the players to only trigger the jump key when it is pressed? So how are we going to do that? Let's add a new event, add condition. Then at the beginning of the scene, click OK. Then since it is at the beginning, let's move it up. Then we are going to add an action which is mouse cursor. Deactivate moving the mouse cursor with touches. Then set it to no. Okay. So this means that the players will only be able to tap once the controls of the touch screen. Now, what if you want to play this game on mobiles and or on a web? This means when we use the laptop, there will be touchscreen controls, but whenever we use the mobile phones, there will be no touchscreen control. So how are we going to do that? By simply going to our events again, then add a new event, add condition, take at the beginning of the scene, click OK. Then since it is at the beginning of the scene, let's move that up Okay, then let's add a condition. Then search for mobile. Is a mobile device. Hit OK. Then add action. Delete the object, which is the right arrow. Okay. Then we can always click this one, then copy, paste, because we are going to change this to the left arrow, then this one to the top rather, then another one for the chevron, double chevron. Okay, now we should change this one to invert. This means if it is not a mobile device, So this means at the beginning of the scene of our game, if our platform is not a mobile device, if we are not using the phone to the game, then we are going to delete those arrows because we don't need that. So let's check. Click preview. Since we are using laptop, automatically the touchscreen controls are deleted. But after exporting it to APK, we open this to our mobile phones, then we are still going to see those controls. Okay? So that's it. So that's how we give it a touchscreen controls. Now, let's go to the next topic, which is exporting it to APK installer so that we can install it on our mobile phones or tablets. To export it as an APK for our mobile device, simply click Publish, then go to Export to other platforms, go to Mobile, then choose APK for testing on device or sharing outside Google Play since we are not yet publishing on Google Play. Then after that, you click Create Package for Android. For now, I will not click that because I only have one remaining build for today. Since we are on free mode on GDevelop, we only have 2 builds per day. Although next day that will be refreshed, but there is a limitation. We can always pay so that we can add builds, but 2 is more than enough if you are sure that you are quite finished with your work. Therefore, only create package if you are quite sure that you are already finished with your game. Okay? After clicking that create package for Android, there will be an option to download your APK installer. So click that download, then go to your downloads folder, then transfer that APK file to your mobile phones and install it. After installing it, you will see your hard-earned game alive on your phones. You can already play that on your phones and share it with your friends. Okay? For our last topic, we are going to add some cutscenes. So we are going to make use of your animation videos to your game. You can always add the cutscenes in between levels or before the level or before the start of your game or after the end of your game. For now, we are going to add a cutscene in between 2 levels. So how are we going to do that? By simply going to this project manager. Then let's add a scene. Let's name that as cutscene. Okay. Now, this level 1, let's just duplicate that by clicking the 3 points. Then click the duplicate. Then let's rename this as level 2. Okay. Click again. Let's move the cutscene to the center. Level 1, first one, then cutscene. Okay, level 1, then cutscene, then level 2. For the level 2, you can double click that to open. We have the level 1 events, level 2 events. For level 2, since it is another level, so we can delete this one. So that will be the level 2. Now, let's go to our cutscene. So, we have the cutscene and the cutscene events. For this cutscene, we're going to add the video you created on character animator, or you can always use the AI tools I taught you, or the stop motion, or the 3D animation. So this is now where we are going to apply our animation. So how are we going to do that? By clicking add a new object. Instead of the asset store, go to the new object from scratch. Then look for the video. This one, video. Click that. Let's name that as cutscene or whatever. Then see to it that it is in MP4. Choose a file not from the asset store. Then look for your animation video you created. Let's say this one. Okay. There. So let's say that's the cutscene I want to add to my game. Now, you need not to check the loop video because it is not loop. Click apply. Then let's drag it so that this will be precise. Let's take X as 0, Y as 0. Then see to it that the size is 1280 by 720. Since that is our custom size for the mobile or the laptop web version. Now, if you click preview, nothing happens. It's not moving. Why? Because GDevelop needs to be activated first, sort of activated first by the player so that videos will be played. So how are we going to go around with that? By going to the cutscene events, add an event, add a condition, then at the beginning of the scene, click OK, add another condition. If the cutscene is paused, click OK, then add action, click cutscene. We're going to play a video, which is the cutscene itself. Okay, this means at the beginning of the scene, the cutscene is paused. It will be triggered to be played. Then let's add another new event. Add condition. Cutscene is ended. Click OK. Click add action. Then change scene. Change the scene to level 2. Click OK. This means after the video is played or it is already ended, then automatically the scene will change to level 2. Okay? So let's check that. Preview. Okay, it's already moving. The animation is starting.
Hello, kids! Ako po pala si Kuya Jai.
At ako naman po, si Ate Jet.
Kami po ngayon ang magkukwento sa inyo dito sa Kids
Connect!
Mga bata, alam niyo ba kung nasaan kami ngayon? Tama! Kami ay nasa isang bukid.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. Automatically, it goes to level 2 of our game. Okay, now how about from level 1 to the cutscene? How can we trigger it to go to the next scene? So let's go first to level 1. Let's give the level an ending. So after our player go to the, let's say, the door to exit the level, then we proceed to the cutscene. How are we going to do that? Let's say, for me, this is what I am going to do. Watch this. Okay. Then let me add a door, add a new object, asset store, door. Let's choose this one, add the scene. Okay, close that. Then let's add this to the scene. Okay, now to the level 1 events, we are going to add a new event. Add a condition. If Dinodogs collides or collision to the door, then it will trigger to change the scene to the cutscene. This means this will be the end of the level. If our player collides with the door, it will change to the cutscene. Let's check that. Click preview. Okay. And let's go to the door by double dashing. Wall climbing. Then, there.
Hello, kids! Ako po pala si Kuya Jai.
At ako naman po, si Ate Jet.
Kami po ngayon ang magkukwento sa inyo dito sa Kids
Connect!
Mga bata, alam niyo ba kung nasaan kami ngayon? Tama! Kami ay nasa isang bukid.
And the cutscenes ends. That's it. So you already have the cutscenes to the next level. So depending on your game, on the story of your game, cutscenes are effective for the players to have a breather and then to enjoy the story of your game. Congratulations! Now you know how to make games for mobiles, for web, and for your friends. Happy making games, and I look forward for your finished products. God bless!